Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success and what they have learnt along the way. Hello and welcome to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today I get to introduce you to my fellow Aussie, Sandy Forster, who is the money mindset mentor for women worldwide who are ready to experience more abundance and freedom in their life. She went from welfare to millionaire and has been featured with Nicole Kidman in Oprah's Aussie Secret and loves inspiring and empowering women to break through their blocks, manifest more money and create a life they're passionate about. Who's not excited about hearing more about that? Her international bestseller, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, has been translated into over 11 languages already, and she's transformed the lives of hundreds of thousands of women worldwide. She also gets to live near the beach in sunny Australia and has little kangaroos grazing around her backyard. Let's hear more about Sandy Forster today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Annie.
You are so welcome. It's lovely to be interviewing a fellow Aussie. I've had so many American ladies on my program lately, and it's great to share the love of inspiring women around the globe, right?
Absolutely.
So let's start, Sandy, by you sharing how does a girl from Australia who drops out of school at, grade 11 with pretty much no money, no contacts, no resources in this way, how do you become Miss Wildly Wealthy?
Yeah, you know what? It still blows my mind to this day. So I guess the backstory is I moved from the most coldest state in Australia. Well, I thought it was the coldest state, Victoria, up to Queensland when I was 15 with my parents. And I started high school, met a boy. We went out for 11 years, got married. When my son was 6 months old and my daughter was 3 years old, we split up. And suddenly the thing that I had been doing at that time, which was I loved sewing, and the aerobic era had hit. So I'd bought some Lycra. So I was designing and manufacturing swimwear purely as like a hobby business.
Right.
So my husband's business, made the money, paid all the bills. And the money that I made from my hobby business, designing and manufacturing swimwear, just allowed us to buy some furniture or go on a holiday another year or put in a swimming pool one year, like just do different stuff. Yeah. But when we split up, my income had to be my real income. And the thing was, I was buying beautiful Lycra, in the winter and sitting behind my sewing machine in the garage, making swimwear. Then I'd find an empty store over summer and I would just sell my stuff. But suddenly that had to become an actual income, like to pay everything. And it didn't work. And I just got further and further into debt. And I ended up $100,000 in debt. And I had, at the time, I got, I can't remember what it was called, sole parents pension or something. It was welfare. And it was about 15,000 Australian dollars, which is about $7,500 US dollars. So it was really like, you can't survive on that. Like you just go backwards more every day. So I was super stressed around money, as you can imagine. So I've got $100,000 in debt. I'm on welfare. I've got 2 kids I'm trying to bring up. I've got no skills other than my sewing, and I was so over that because all it did was get me further and further into debt. So it was like
losing the love quickly.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, what can I do? Anyway, I ended up seeing this tiny little ad in the local newspaper about, and there's some things that just jumped out at me. One was strong work ethic, one was personal development, and one was money. And those 3 things were like, oh, I'm interested in that because I loved anything to do with like becoming a better person and thinking positively. And I really wanted to I kind of, even though I didn't know, I just got a sense that was where my life was going to change. So I was trying to do what I could. So anyway, I answered this ad and it was really just a course based on the law of attraction. That's what it was, courses and seminars. I was like, wow, that was my first introduction
Mm.
to the law of attraction, because before that, as I said, positive thinking, I understood that you want to think positively, but I was thinking positively about kind of what I wanted, but I was also always focusing on my $100,000 of debt, being on welfare, not being able to pay the bills, getting the red letters, feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling So I discovered that, you know, through the law of attraction, it's not just about focusing on what you want. It's also getting rid of all those thoughts and feelings and actions and, you know, input about what you don't want.
Because those blocks are everything, right? They're the time-consuming, energy sapping everything, which distracts from, yes, I want to be positive, but...
Exactly, because you've only got so much energy. Like everything in the universe is made up of energy. So we're these, you know, every part of us is this tiny little vibrating energy packets. And so if you're using your energy to focus on what's not working and what's going wrong and who said what to me back then and how things are going to be crap in the future and all that stuff, then you don't have the energy to manifest what it is you desire. So I realized that, and I started to kind of basically declutter my life of the things that I didn't want. And that means, and this is something that I teach all my students now, it means not just at a thinking level, it's all about body, mind, and spirit. When you align body, mind, and spirit, that's when everything changes. So body is the actions you take. Your mind is the thoughts that you think, and your spirit is the feelings or emotions that are attached to it. So when you align all of that, that's when you can vibrationally come into alignment with what it is that you're focusing on. So for me, when I first discovered the law of attraction, it was like, think about it. I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare. I was stressed to the eyeballs. And then I discovered the law of attraction. It was like, focus on what you want most of the time. So the relief of doing that alone, just the relief of not focusing on what was happening and instead dreaming about, thinking about, imagining being a millionaire and what I would do and what I'd spend my money on and how I'd have no debt and the places I could travel to and being able to buy fresh flowers and being able to get a gym membership or go to yoga when I wanted, or being able to go to a health retreat somewhere, like all those things that I totally wanted to do, dreaming about them, thinking about them, focusing on them was so much more enjoyable than where I actually was. So I completely dived into the law of attraction, fell in love with it, and around that same time also fell in love with coaching and trained to be a coach, a life coach. And I think around that time too, I also started learning about internet marketing. And so I got my first website, and I think all those things kind of really align. So this is another thing that I love to teach my students. Wallace Wattles, in the book, The Science of Getting Rich, this was written back in, 1910 or something, like decades ago. And that was the book that sort of sparked Rhonda Byrne, the producer of The Secret, sparked her interest in the law of attraction. So in that book, he says, by thought, the thing you desire is brought to you. But by action, you receive it. So you can think about what you want all you like till the cows come home. You can sit there and visualize and meditate and do whatever you want. But unless you're taking action, then nothing's going to happen. So you've got to take the right action. So because, yes, I was doing so much mindset work and so much, you know, and that's why I wrote my book, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, because I had so many different processes and exercises that I used. And so I was doing all these things, but I was also taking practical action. And I always say, when you marry the metaphysical with the practical, that's where the magic happens, because the two together, you're really kind of giving a strong message to the universe that you are serious, but you're also giving a very strong message to yourself that you are absolutely serious and you're going to do whatever it takes and you are committed. Because if you're just sitting around meditating and visualizing and expecting it to drop into your lap, as I said, it's not going to happen. And, you know, there's going to be, your logical brain will be going, what? You know, this is woo-woo hippie stuff. This isn't going to work. So when you take practical action, your logical mind aligns with your creative mind, and then again the magic can happen.
And we're all about making magic happen. That is for sure.
We are.
I think you've so clearly expressed that so many people had the problem of, I'm dreaming it, I'm visualizing it, I'm wanting it, but they're staying in the want. This is what I would like. This was what I want, but they don't truly believe it's possible for them. They don't truly step in. Do you find that with those that you coach, it's the stepping in, it's taking those first steps to going, okay, well, how are you acting? What are you putting into your day-to-day that actually is going to move you towards what you actually desire?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about taking those actions, and quite often we don't know what those actions are. Like when I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare, and this sort of swimwear business that I was doing as a hobby that was just getting further and further into debt, I didn't know what to do. But when I saw that little thing about the work ethic and the making money and personal development, I took action. Now I could have thought to myself, well, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to do direct sales. I don't know anything about this. But I just took action. And what happens is, if you take action, you can be guided as to whether it's the right action and then, okay, take a different action, or whether it's, the wrong action. It's like, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, don't get caught up in that. Just take action, and you'll be shown, as I think Jack Canfield said in The Secret, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take that first step, and then the next step will be revealed, and on and on. Yeah. And so I think people get too caught up in having to get all their ducks in a row and everything lined up and know what's going on. But for me, my action was, I trained to be a life coach, even though I was terrified of the idea of coaching people, because when you're $100,000 in debt and on welfare and your life is in chaos, the thought of coaching someone is like, what? Who am I? Like, talk about imposter syndrome.
Authority.
Yeah, it's like, but what I did completely understand was that coaching was not about me being the expert, the mentor, the guru. It was about me being trained to ask a series of questions and guide the client in the right direction to come up with their own answers, and then help them create, a plan to make it happen. And when I realized that, it was like, okay, I could do that. And I just fell in love with the idea of being able to work from home, being able to do it all over the phone, being able to choose my own hours, being able to make as much or as little as I wanted. And I really just love that whole idea of coaching. So that's how I got into coaching. And then from coaching, I came up with an idea. I just woke up one morning with this name in my head, Wildly Wealthy Women. I went online, I registered it. I then, a few months later, I was with someone that I was working with. We were marketing another sort of, not so much personal development course, but I did have a little bit personal development woven in. It was more of a practical money-making course. Yeah. And I said to her, I've got this great idea. This course is great, very practical, but I reckon I should bring in all the mindset, and then you can come on live calls once a week and answer people's questions. And anyway, we launched that, and that made close to $2 million in about 4 months. And again, if I'd stopped and thought, oh, okay, I'm going to launch a mentoring program. I've got to figure out how to have a membership area and a website and sign people up, and how are we going to do all this, and how are we going to have these wildly wealthy women's wicked weekends 4 times a year. And, if I got bogged down in the details, which I am so bad at, then I would never have done it. But I just said, I've got this idea, let's do this. And, the universe rewards action. That's one thing I very much learned. So I just dived in, made it happen. And I've done that over and over again, just come up with ideas and run with them. And this is one of the things I do teach my students as well, is that there's a saying, what is it? Ready, aim, fire. Ready, get ready, aim, make sure everything's just right, then fire. But I do it, and I teach it the other way. Ready, fire, aim. So ready, get yourself ready, fire, just start it, aim, fix it up, tweak it, improve it later on. Otherwise, people get so caught up in procrastinating and perfectionism and analysis paralysis, and they just do nothing. So I think messy is better than not at all.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I actually, once you embrace that concept, you love the messy, right? Because it allows curiosity, innovation, new ideas, create, you just go, wow. It's a massive breakthrough, even that shift, to stop the perfect, that, while you're waiting for the perfect, it will seriously never happen.
And that's exactly what I'm doing today. So straight after this podcast, I'm going on to Clubhouse to do my first Clubhouse as a moderator. I don't even know how to moderate. Like, I don't know how to get in the back end or do anything, but I booked this room. I'm going to make it happen. And if it completely stuffs up, the thing is, I'm completely transparent in everything I do. I'll get on there and I'll say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm completely new to this. Bear with me. We'll probably stuff it up. But I think that when you're sort of vulnerable with all your mistakes as well as your successes with people, I think they can relate to you a lot more, because if everything was perfect, like, people sort of look at me and go, oh, she went from welfare to millionaire. She's so lucky. But it's like, seriously, my journey was not, discover the law of attraction. Oh, I'm a millionaire. My life is perfect. It doesn't happen like that. I live in a real world, and stuff happens, good stuff, bad stuff.
Exactly.
I'm thinking all the right things and things are going on perfectly, and then something will happen. I'll get sidetracked and I'll be focusing on the crap, and then crap will happen. It's like, I'm human like everyone else. But the thing that I've mastered is getting back on track. Exactly. Too often people get sideswiped by something. It could be an illness in the family. It could be as simple as being cut off in traffic. It could be watching too much news. Who knows? It could be anything that sort of takes them sideways. And instead of getting back on track as soon as they can, they start to focus on the negative.
Exactly.
And they start to talk to other people about it and think about it and stress about it and share it with their mum and their sister and their best friend and their blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and they then wonder why more and more crap happens to them. It's like, we all have stuff that goes wrong. Let's just get back to where we want to go. Focus on what we want. Keep our energy, keep our focus there. Keep our conversations there. Keep our body, mind, and spirit there. And then we'll continue to create what we want rather than everything else that's crazy in the world.
Exactly, because life is crazy and life will happen, right? You can't have this perfect view and then you spend all your time and energy trying to keep it in that specific way. Random things happen to everybody, ebbs and flows, and my language is also, stay in your lane, because that's exactly what you've been referring to. As soon as you get sort of distracted and you end up in the next lane or the next lane, and then you take a different turn off, you're spending so much time down there, and then those people are still going, but I really wanted this and I really thought it would be possible. It's kind of like, well, it is. Get back in your lane, right?
Exactly. Get back in your lane. I agree.
You're not in the right spot. It's like going shopping and looking for something and go, yeah, well, that shop's not here. It's over there. You've got to be where your hopes and dreams and desires are, and feed that with your time and your energy. And I love the way you frame that. So, it is that sort of principle of Richard Branson, isn't it? It's like, just do it. Just do it and work it out later, right? Say yes. And that's exactly what you're doing today on Clubhouse. And that's exactly what I did when I first started my podcast. It's kind of like going, I don't know how to do it. You just do it. And authenticity rules these days, right? It's like, if you're so perfect, then other people, all they see is intimidating. They go, one, they'll say you're lucky. And it's incredible how lucky you are when you work bloody hard, right? For many, many, many years. But they'll think you're very lucky, or you must have just had extra help, or something's not right with the story. Or they'll actually go, well, that's so intimidating, I can't imagine that to be true. Whereas that's right. Once you actually just going, this is what I tried, try it yourself, try other things, just act.
Get in the game.
Just get in the game, and you learn along the way. And even if it's an epic fail, I tell you what, it makes a really great story.
It does. I know. I remember my first website. So my first website, for some reason, I've been told that dark blue was a very professional color. So I wanted to be professional. Me, Sandy from the Sunshine Coast, like, you got to be kidding. Anyway, I wanted to be professional. So I had this dark blue banner across the top, and my actual company name, Universal Prosperity Proprietary Limited.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, I've got a screenshot of that old website, and honestly, I'm thinking, what was I thinking? Because I was thinking I had to be someone else to actually have a business. But the thing is, even now, I sort of say to people, you know what? I'm not actually a business person. Yes, I've won international business awards. And yes, I've been named as one of Australia's top 10 women entrepreneurs in 2019. And yes, I've written a best-selling book. And yes, I have a law of attraction coach training academy where I train people to be internationally certified coaches. And yes, I've done all this stuff, but I still just consider myself to be a creative person who just happens to do stuff that makes me money.
Yes.
So I don't consider myself to be a traditional business person because that side of it still, my brain is like, don't understand.
Yeah.
And so, I just feel really blessed that I'm doing what I love. I'm changing people's lives all around the world. I'm just, I can't believe it sometimes that that's what my business is.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be this kind of professional, serious, organized, strategic person. I'm just me who is all over the place, sometimes completely disorganized. Like I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I just do it. And I think when people understand that they can just be who they are and just, because the whole thing is whoever you are at your absolute core, at your essence, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people looking for you and your message and what you offer. And they don't want me, or they don't want someone else who's really polished, or they don't want, they're looking for who you are at an energetic level. Their soul is calling to your soul. And if that message out there in the ether hooks up, they'll find you. And that's how I always believe my business has grown. People, when I just became me, and this is what I am, I'm going to share all my tips and secrets for manifesting money. And it's all to do with the law of attraction. It's all spiritual and metaphysical. And it's a bit woo-woo. We bring a bit of science in there with, all the neuroscience. But this is who I am. This is what I do. And people are attracted to that. The people that want that message from me, the way I speak it, the way I share it, they're attracted to me. So whoever you are, whatever you do, there's people out there waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's it. They can feel you. They know you. They get to know you. You're real, right? And also the most beautiful thing is your energy is actually coming from your source, whereas so many of those other models, it's the polishing down. It's like a product, that you're just polishing up. And then people go, oh, you'd hate to know what's happening underneath, in a negative way, because they see that as mess. Whereas when the energy is coming up, it's just constantly developing. There's unlimited opportunities, right? But you can also go, well, in that mess and challenge is actually the learning, and it's really good, and you want to share that with different people. So
you do, because I know exactly what you're saying, because I think what happens is everyone's comparing themselves to everyone else. And because we know ourselves and we know all the stuff about ourselves that, we probably don't want to put out there on social media, and we know what's going on inside and what our thoughts are and what we do wrong and what our flaws are. And then we're comparing all that to what people present, which is what they present is the best part of their self. And so we compare the worst of us to the best of them and then feel lacking. But when you understand that everyone is kind of trying to put forward their best self, like, I'm not going to tell you what I am about to tell you. How, like, if I look down on the floor, I was doing a training yesterday, and I was part of someone else's training, and I printed off all my notes, and I've got them all over the floor, and I've got the banana peel that I haven't got around to putting in the bin yet, and it's like it's a mess everywhere. But people don't. But people think that I've got all this chaos going on in my life, and everyone else has just got it together.
Yeah,
everyone's got chaos.
Chaos, right?
Everyone.
It's just about, well, what do you value, and where do you want to spend your time? And that's right. You can do your little cleanup later. You just want to go, well, I'll do that. I then enjoy the moment. The reason that I created that extra bit of mess or chaos.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about then, how has your experience been such a positive role model to your children? Here you were, this now single mom with a couple of little kiddies with nothing. How have they responded to your incredible career journey?
Yeah, it's been really cool. So, I'm sure my daughter doesn't mind me. I must ask her one day if she does mind. But when she was younger, she was the most negative girl on the planet. If I said it was sunny, she'd say it was raining. If I said it was nice and cool, she'd say it was too hot. Like, it didn't matter what I said, she would say the opposite. And I think it was just a mother-daughter thing, who knows? But she did that from the moment she could speak, because in fact, one day we were listening to the radio in the car and they were saying how teenagers were very, like, contrary to whatever you said. Yeah. And my daughter, who was probably about 8 at the time, said, "But Mum, I've always been like that." And I was like, yeah, I know. Anyway, so no matter what I would say, she would always be the opposite. But I remember this one time she came home from school and she said to me, "Mum, I've got the school dance," and we live on the Sunshine Coast, super casual. Yeah. "I've got the school dance. I need a new pair of shorts." And I was like, oh. And I was having a really bad week. So this is before I'd mastered the law of attraction. And I was having a bad week and I didn't have any money. And kind of when someone asks you for something when you don't have money, instantly in me, I was like, oh. Anyway, so she said, "I need a new pair of shorts and maybe a new pair of shoes too." And I said, "Darling, I just don't think we can." It was I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday and the dance was on Friday. Like, no time to organize anything or try and do anything. I was like, look, darling, I don't think I can. And she was like, "Mum, you never get me anything," because everyone has love languages and hers, I think, is the one around gifts. It's like, "You never get me anything." In other words,
you're like, "What about all that time? What about that?" Or that other thing?
Yeah, no, it's gifts. So I'm saying, look, I just can't, darling. She says, "Why don't you just put it on a credit card?" My credit card was maxed out. I didn't have enough money to pay the phone bill, so I'm stressing how they're going to cut off the phone. I was feeling angry that she'd asked me, frustrated because I'm in the same position still. I'm feeling scared because it's like, am I going to be like this forever? What's my future going to be like? Like, I was feeling stressed, all these emotions, but anger was winning. And, it's like, "Why can't you? You never give me anything." And I'm like, I turned to her and I can picture me. I was so like, I feel like I was like a dragon with steam coming out my ears and spit flying out my mouth and temples throbbing. And I said, "Don't you understand? We don't have any money. We're broke." And she turned to me, and here's this child who I'm thinking never listens to a single thing I said. She turns to me, puts her hand on her hip and said, "Well, if that's how you feel whenever you talk about money, the universe is never going to make us rich."
Oh, what a gem.
I know. And I was like, "Ugh." In that moment, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. It was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Yes, I want money, and yes, I want to be rich, but my strongest emotions, and the emotions are the thing that causes your thoughts and your what you want, your dream, your desire, your goal, what you put out there to be magnetic. Yeah. So my strongest emotions were all around not having money. So that was such an eye-opener, and I realised then that she was actually listening to me. So, but
there is hope for us mums.
I know there is hope for us mothers when we think no one's listening to a word we're saying. But the coolest thing, I think, for me has been the things I've been able to do since that money. So I remember when I was trying to write How to Be Wealthy Fast, and I just wanted to be left alone. Like, I was trying to write this book, and the kids were asking me questions and wanting to be fed, and it's like, "Go and get some baked beans out of the cupboard." It's like, I'm trying to write. I said, once I get the book written, I will take you to, what did I tell my daughter? I said, "I'll take you shopping." Because her thing was getting stuff.
Perfect shoes and the perfect shorts.
Yeah, I'll buy it. So I did. Once the book was out there and, it was making us money, I flew her to New York and I took her shopping in New York. So that was a pretty cool shopping trip. Oh, my God,
Sandy, you're the best mum ever.
I know. So I think more than anything, my kids have seen the difference. I mean, we've gone on some great adventures, trekked the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I trekked base camp on Everest with my daughter. And, we've done some amazing things. And so they've seen the transformation from welfare to millionaire. And they see that, my life is not so much, and there's nothing wrong with this. Everyone, whatever you want is fine with you. But they see that my thing is not so much about getting things, but about experiences. So I've got the beautiful house. I love that. I've got 2 acres with a spring-fed dam and kangaroos grazing on my backyard. But apart from the beautiful house, my thing is travel and having experiences. And so they've been part of that. And so they see, and so their mindset is really that, they understand that what you focus on is what you create. And as they get older, like my daughter's now 33, and as they get older, I can see them totally grabbing everything that I've learned and applying it. And it just makes my heart sing as a mum to see them doing that, because I know, it took me till I was, I think it was in my 40s before I even discovered the law of attraction. So knowing that, kids younger and younger are learning it, just
it's exciting, isn't it?
It is so exciting, because you sort of think the world is going to be a completely different place for them in the future. I know a lot of people think that the world is getting worse, but I believe that the world is getting better, because people are becoming more conscious, more aware, more mindful, just really embracing everything that makes humanity become its best.
Oh, that is brilliant. And then your daughters will have that view that, money brings you opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So other people will go, oh, why should we be talking about money? Is that not appropriate? Yes, it's so appropriate, because it gives you choice. It gives you opportunity. So that's right. And we'll all value how we spend that money when we actually get it, and it'd be very different. That's right. So you're sort of going, that's right. It allows me to travel and have great opportunities and to enjoy that, plus put it back in your business and to keep thriving and to keep trying new things, right?
And make a difference as well. I mean, I remember when I took my kids to Africa, and we went to, it was called the ABC Centre, the Abandoned Children's Centre. And it was like heartbreaking to see these children. Some of them have been left in the local dump, like the local tip. And, to be able to bring these children all these toys, and their eyes lit up. They just couldn't believe what they were getting. And being able to give to women in third world countries so they can start their own business with a micro loan and build a business. And one woman's gone on to create an international wedding dress business. It's like, you can do more when you've got money. Yes, you can definitely make a difference in your own life. And that was definitely the focus when I first discovered the law of attraction and thought things could change. I wasn't thinking about helping the world. I just have to be perfectly honest. It was like I was drowning, just get my head above water.
Yeah.
But once that happened, it's like you can start to look at how you can make a difference in the world, and you can make a lot more of a difference when you've got some money behind you. Yes, you can give your time, and yes, you can, wrap your arms around people. But honestly, when you've got money, you can give people a hand up rather than a hand out, and really, impact not just their future, but their family's future and their, family beyond them, and often their community as well. So it can make a
generational change, right? You have the opportunity to affect generational change, and
totally.
And I think that when it comes from that joy of just being able to give and to help with no strings, that will then just magnify. I think you put out that sort of energy to the universe, and it'll always just sort of compound, I think.
It does.
So where to from here then, Sandy? You've already created this business. You're trying new things. You're just about to go on Clubhouse. You're, is it writing more books? Is it speaking more? Is it getting more people in your program? What is next? Or do you just go, I'm just going with the flow and see what will resonate?
Good question. So I often have ideas and plans, but I'm very much a go with the flow as well. So, I don't get stuck on something. But what I do want to do this year, so 2021, my plan is, I have been saying this for, I'm telling you, probably a decade. So it's going to happen in March 2021. I'm launching my own podcast, Wildly Wealthy Women. Yep. And I'm going to be sharing all my money manifesting and mindset techniques, but I'm also going to be bringing on, world famous women that have done, created success, created wealth, through using the law of attraction. So that's my plan. So that's definitely happening in March. Definitely want to get Clubhouse mastered, because I feel like everyone who's in there now is where everyone who started on Facebook, the first year it started, so I really want to get that happening. Yes, definitely want to write more books. In fact, my plan is to write like a series of books. So my book, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, is really for anyone who wants to transform their mind and rewire their mindset so that they can begin to attract and manifest more abundance. But I want to be make it more specific. So I want to bring out those niche books for, say, how to be wildly wealthy fast for coaches, and how to be wildly wealthy fast for, holistic practitioners, and bring in case studies of people who have transformed their life using my principles, and bring in specific processes for those people. So that's on the agenda for this year as well. And then, really just focusing on getting more people into my Millionaire Mindset experience, which is at the moment kind of my most favorite program, because there's just such a quick transformation for most people. Like the manifesting that happens, even before the program starts, when they're still in the foundation material, is like, wow. So,
they just get excited. Yeah. And activate.
Yeah. It's so exciting to see other people's transformation, because I remember when I first discovered the law of attraction, first started applying it, and when I first started manifesting, it was like, oh my gosh, you suddenly feel like you got the keys to the kingdom, or you've got a magic wand, or you're like, I dream of genie. It's like,
I'll take that.
Yeah, I know, it's so exciting. So just impacting more people that way, because I know how frustrating and scary, and not that everyone is going to be in the position I was. Like, I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare, but even just not having the choices and not being able to do what you want. And if you want to have time off work, or if you want to start a new business, or you want to travel, or you want to buy this thing, or you want to help that person, just not having that choice really impacts your life. But having those choices is so freeing. It makes you feel lighter, makes you feel, I don't know, more expansive, makes you kind of feel anything is possible, and you just feel like possibilities are just out there waiting for you. And the thing is, when you feel like that, then that all becomes even more possible. So it's kind of a win-win-win. So that's what I love to do.
Yeah, I also think it gives you more clarity about what you do want. When you don't have much, you dream about everything. Everything looks more exciting, and I want like all of it. I wish I had all of it. Whereas suddenly then, as you get more wealthy, then you go, if I can now spend it, what do I actually choose to do? And for me, I actually think it gives you more clarity and focus and simplicity around money, because then you suddenly go, I actually do want to go on that trip, or invest in this other opportunity, or bless someone with something. I think, it's, I don't know if it's just me, but I do believe it makes it easier to have clarity about
totally
love and value, because it's possible. Whereas the other is just sort of envy or jealousy or just frustration. And it's like, I'd be so much happier if I had, that pair of shoes, or that car, or that. Whereas you're not going to be. You will be for a day, but then that fades. But the genuine enjoyment about being able
getting what you truly want, like what you know is going to make your heart
forever.
sing.
You just go, I'm so glad I've never regretted having that trip to Africa with your children, or going to New York, to do those things. It's like they're long-lasting lifetime memories that not just impact you, impact those that you share them with, right?
Exactly. And sometimes it can be as simple as buying something. I remember because one of the things I love is smoothies. So I've always loved smoothies in the morning. These days it's green smoothies, but I remember when it was just fruit smoothies. I love putting a whole lot of fruit into a blender and having that for breakfast. It felt like I was eating ice cream, really healthy, yummy ice cream. So, but my blender broke, and I remember going to Target, and I'm walking down the blender aisle, and I'm looking at all the blenders, and I still, honestly, it just is mind-blowing to this very day. I still get emotional when I think about it. I'm walking down the blender aisle, and I'd launched Wildly Wealthy Women, and like it was just making so much money, and because I've been teaching the mindset prior to that, but doing it in such a big volume and suddenly making this big amount of money. I remember walking down the blender aisle and looking at all the blenders and suddenly realizing it was the first time in my life it suddenly hit me. I don't have to look at the price of these blenders to make up my mind, because that's how I used to always shop. I could buy any blender I wanted. And I actually started crying in the blender aisle of Target because I was just it suddenly hit me that my life was going to be completely different from that point forward. My life was not always going to be about struggle and not having money and having to make choices based on what was in my bank account or what was left on my credit card. And it was just so, I don't know, it's just a moment that I just treasure forever, that blender moment in Target.
Oh, exactly. It's just choice. It's freedom, right? The word that comes to me is just freedom just to be, and freedom to enjoy the things that you just would love without all the anchors, without all the energy. You know, how much easier, you just feel lighter because you're not weighed down by all of those things. So let's finish up now of talking about, what does success look like or feel like to you? You're a very successful woman and you're teaching other people how to be successful in their own way. So how would you define success as a woman?
Definitely success to me means being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. So I'm very much an introvert. So I love, like, after this is over and I've done my clubhouse and I've defragged from that, I'm just going to spend the rest, because it's a Sunday, I'm going to spend the rest of the day just sitting in the barley hut. I've got a great book. I've got my beautiful little puppy next to me. I'll just sit there, listening to the birds, having a drink, just relaxing, just really enjoying the day. But if I wanted to go shopping and buy this or that, the other, I could. Or if I wanted to, like, just having choices to me is being successful. And those choices could be doing nothing, could be doing something, could be buying something, could be whatever it happens to be. But when you've got choices, then I think you're truly successful. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a lot of money.
No.
Being successful just simply means having choice, because I think my highest value is freedom. And so, you know, choices are based on that. If you don't, I remember when I had no choices and all came back because I didn't have any money. So I didn't have the choice to do the things I wanted or go the places I wanted, or just didn't have any choice at all. And I felt so trapped. And so, I don't know, so scared and so frustrated. And having choices now is amazing. So freedom is definitely, to me, having the freedom to do what you want is definitely success in my eyes.
Beautiful. How do people find you, Sandy?
Best way to find me is, depending on when you listen to this, if it's 2021 March onwards, you can check out my Wildly Wealthy Women podcast. But before then, you can go to wildlywealthy.com. And if you're interested in manifesting and visualization and affirmations, I've actually got a money manifesting bundle that you can grab at wildlywealthyfree.com. You can get that for nothing.
I love it.
Rewiring your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today's the day, ladies. So those of you who are listening in, definitely go to Sandy's website. I'll have all your details on my podcast platform and YouTube. And just go and check it out, ladies. Sandy is an amazing lady and just makes it sound so achievable, right? It's just the steps. Just start stepping forward and follow her lead, and definitely go and check out her freebies, because who doesn't love a freebie? And thank you so much for sharing with me on my program today. It's been really, really enjoyable.
Oh, my pleasure. And I just want to end up with one thing, just to say that, I mean, sometimes people look at me and go, oh, she's so lucky, or she created that success because of this or that reason. But as you said earlier, I didn't even finish high school. I dropped out of school in grade 11. I had no contacts. I had no connections. I had no money behind me. I had no great skills. Like, I had nothing. But I discovered the law of attraction. I put it into action and I applied it every single day. And that's what transformed my life. So I believe if I can do it, absolutely everyone can do it. So anyone listening to this, it's just a matter of, being really clear on what you want, focusing on it, and then taking action every single day and doing metaphysical processes to change your mindset as well. So, and I just want to say thank you so much for having me on, Annie. I really appreciate it. And I love what you're doing, getting out there and inspiring other women, because I really believe when you create that ripple effect, like, you've got me talking about my success, but that is going to inspire, even if it inspires one other woman to go out there and make a difference. And then that difference that she makes may inspire one other woman, and then it just can grow and grow and grow. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you so much, Sandy. It's the ripple effect that changes the world, right? And we don't all have to do everything. We just need to do our little bit and just connect together. And I'm all about collaborating with women globally and to, allowing people to see how others are shining in their circumstance and then believing that they can do that in their very own way. And so thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes and, of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.